Must win? This is scored, by the way, Greg. Brew is the reigning. No, you're the reigning champion.
Wait,
What?
I think I'm the.
What's this in our ears? What is this?
Yeah, what is it?
Wow. No, I know what that means. It's shocking that it's coming so early in the season. This is not the rare double must win. You know, I've gone there before.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Yeah, that was
This
cool.
is the extremely rare must win and a half. Here's why. It's a must win for the Cowboys. We all know why, right? You got a lot of moments. They got a moral victory. I know people don't want to claim it as a moral victory.
Yeah.
They got a moral victory, so the vibes are great in Dallas right now, even though they lost to Philadelphia. If they lose to the hapless New York Giants, hapless, they're the worst team in the division outside of the Cowboys, then they lose all of those vibes.
Yeah.
They lose all of it. So we know why it's a must-win for the Cowboys. And they're at home. You can't lose that game. But it is also, the half comes in here. It is also a must-win for Russell Wilson. And since he's an individual player, it's only a half. So it's not the double.
That's why you played the
I mean, I don't make up the rules. That's just how, when you haven't heard it before because it's almost unprecedented. All right? And so, Russ, this could be the last start of his career. If he could get benched at halftime if it goes south.
That'd be half.
So it is the rare. I don't know if you guys understand the gravity of this. Have you ever seen a must win and a half?
Really?
Bro, I'm just telling you, you're really here's the other thing that happened. Greg threw out his IMDb resume yesterday on the table, and Brew tried to take his corners back as the actor on the show with the "What's that? What?" Oh, and I'm just saying, I think it threw you off. I just think Greg has your own
I'm not here to make I'm not trying to get style points.
Oh.
I'm just telling you the truth.
Okay,
I'm gonna say
It's a must win
I'm
and a
gonna say
half.
what you probably should have said, which it's a double must win. Simple. It's a double must win. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they don't lose to this team. But this team doesn't lose to the New York Giants. And we saw what the vibes were. We had no expectation of this Dallas Cowboy team. Once we saw Michael was gone and departed, oh, you know what? Chalk it up. You're not making the playoffs. You're not going to even probably be competitive Thursday when we see you for the first time. You know what they were. Now we're kind of like, can Dak actually do something with this team? You can't follow that up with a loss against the Giants. And on the flip side, it's a must-win for the Giants. When you look at just Brian Daboll is sitting there already with quarterback controversy and indecision right there in front of him because of your quarterback that you're talking about, a half a win, because of Russell Wilson. And you look at this team, they were 0-6 in the division last year. They haven't won a division game since 2023. You look at your schedule, and the next week you got Kansas City Chiefs. Then you got the Chargers, and you're like, when is this team going to get a win? I know you got the Saints. You're hoping that you'll be able to beat the Saints, but then you continue to look at the schedule and you're like, well, will they even win a game?
Okay.
Oh my God.
You guys are sadly, I would love to support you. But sadly, you guys are both wrong for including the Giants in this because the Giants season does not start until Jackson Dart takes the field. Brian Daboll's job will be determined by how Jackson Dart looks. So it is only about the Cowboys, and it is not a must-win for the Cowboys. It is a must-dominate for the Cowboys. The only way to turn the momentum from whatever momentum you could have gotten from a loss in week 1 to the Eagles, because, like Bruce said, moral victory, was if you show that offensive performance that you showed flashes of is for real, that their running game is for real, that their offensive line against this defensive front is for real, and CeeDee Lamb can redeem himself. So the Cowboys winning 24-21 doesn't do a lot of good for them. The Cowboys winning 31-10 makes you like, oh, could have beaten Philly if CD catches the ball, annihilate the Giants. It's a must dominate for Dallas.
Yeah, they're all wrong. They're all wrong for many reasons. It's a must win and a double loss. For many reasons why, and allow me to explain. I don't got fancy sirens for y'all right now, but the obvious part is, of course, like Brew got part of it, right? Like, of course they got to win. Good vibes, all that type of stuff. They did almost beat the Eagles. That was close on the road, week 1, Thursday night game, reigning Super Bowl champions, a lot on the line. And you leave that game feeling like, man, if you're a Cowboys, if you're a Cowboy, you're thinking like, man, we should have won that game. That was our game to win. We lost that game. They didn't win that game. And if you now go and turn and lose to the Giants at home, I mean, like that's just ugly, obviously. Especially when we saw what the Commanders did to the Giants. The Giants looked completely like they weren't even a football team, quite frankly. It doesn't have to be a domination of like 30-some to 10. It just needs to be that the Cowboys are clearly in control and clearly the better team. Like that's all it really needs to be. I agree that you don't want it to be like a weird 2-point game or win by 1 or something, coming down on a last minute field goal. But I just think that it just really needs to be like, no, like we are clearly the better team. And now you then move to 1-1, and I'm posting this obviously on Thursday, recording it before the game for the Commanders. Maybe the Commanders lose, now they're 1-1, right? The Eagles could lose against the Chiefs, now they're 1-1, right? Like now you're right in the mix, you're right in the hunt. You drop down 0-2, now 0-2 in the division. Maybe the Commanders win, they're both 2-0, the Eagles are 2-0, right? Like then it's just, now you get further and further from the goal, obviously. But here's the thing. Now listen, it doesn't matter for the Giants in terms of like, is it a must win for the Giants? It's like, no, because who actually cares about the Giants? And that's what I thought Nick was going to say, but then he brought in Jackson Dart and all of that type of stuff. But this is why I said that it's also kind of a lose-lose situation, because if everyone just beats up on the Giants, then there's a great chance that they'll have a high draft pick, and that then obviously hurts them, or helps them down the road, whether it's just even have a high second round pick and whatnot. Because I think they traded their next year's first round pick. I forget exactly what they did. I'd have to take a look at that again. No, I just looked. They didn't even trade their first round pick, so they still have that first round pick. So that'll be really, really valuable. This 2026 draft should be pretty potent, honestly, with potentially a lot of action, because there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of teams want quarterbacks, and maybe the Giants want another quarterback. I mean, who really knows? Or if they don't want a quarterback and they're drafting high, they'll be able to trade down, get even more bang for their buck, because other people will be trading up for a quarterback, which they don't need. It gives them a lot of flexibility. And now, before you know it, the Giants have a team that's flushed with a lot of top first rounders, and in a blink of the eye, I mean, you just don't know if and when they could ever right this ship. And then same thing with the Cowboys, where it's kind of like one of those situations where it's pretty interesting. You obviously traded Micah, and now you have draft capital, and if you do drop 0-2, and if you are kind of like have kind of a mid-level season, and now you're drafting around top 10 or top 15 or whatever it is, it just now gives you a position over these next 3-4 years to also now be flushed with really young, high-level talent. So it's like a win is great, but a loss is also nice. And a win is great, but now you're also making the Giants. I mean, like, there would be a great chance the Giants win like 2 games at this point, right? They're already 0-2. They're going to lose to the Eagles. Like, you're just going to lose to everyone. You're going to go 0-6 again, essentially. And it's just like, all right. So then it's just, your best bet would be, well, hopefully the Giants just keep being Giants and keep, messing things up right now. But I mean, you would have to imagine that if you get enough talent and get you're going to be in a much more competitive situation than you are right now. But who knows? Because the Giants have made obviously quite suspect decisions over these years. So, but I mean that whole about the losing is definitely more tongue in cheek. But if we're just looking at it, obviously from this season, must win for the Cowboys. I mean, I think a lot of momentum can continue to be building if you beat the Giants. And again, even though you don't really expect the Giants to be good, like, this is kind of where I disagree about needing the dominant win. Like, again, it's nice and teams use that for momentum building. But if they beat the Giants 42-0, I would be like, yeah, Okay, it's the Giants. And going into this season, never forget, going into this season, I said I expect the Cowboys to be able to continue to do what they've done in years past. Absolutely crush bad teams. That's what I said. I literally said that going into this. When everyone was real low on the Cowboys, I said, man, this offense will clearly be good enough. I trust Eberflus to get this defense good enough. To be fair, I said this before Micah Parsons, but I think even after Micah was traded, I still doubled down on that take and said I still believe that this will, that it'll still be a situation where it's like I expect them at a minimum to still be able to easily beat these bad teams. And then the rest is like, what do you do against the better teams? And they showed that they're competitive. They can hang in the game, which is what they did with the Philadelphia Eagles. But do they come up short, right? Do they always come up short? That remains to be seen right now. But you drop a game like this, like everyone's allowed to have a catch game. Everyone's allowed to lose to a bad team. And it happens to the Cowboys, happens to the Eagles, happens to the Chiefs, happens to the Bills, happens to the Ravens. But it can't happen in the second week of the season when you're now going to be 0-2, right? When things now could start to pop. Because what I said too is that there's a fragility to the Cowboys where it's just kind of like, how much adversity can this team overcome throughout this season? And from my perspective, not a lot. And it's kind of boom or bust, where they'll be quite competitive and can win a lot of games, or things start to unravel and unfold. And losing to the Giants would accelerate that, right? If Russ starts to rewind the clock back and is wheeling and dealing, and Dak has a game where he's got 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and a fumble, right? Like, you just start to lay yourself into trouble. CeeDee Lamb's got 45 yards on 4 targets, right? Like, it's just one of those weird, ugly, bizarre games where you're just like, man, what the heck was this? You start to question, are the Eagles even that good? Like, how did they look so good against the Eagles? You just, and you don't want any of that. You don't want any of that. And Colin already kind of went through this before, and I'm posting the video on the same day, actually, about how teams that start 0-2, I think it's something like 10% or 50% have a chance to make the playoffs in that regard. But I kind of ripped that stat apart, but mainly because you're talking about someone like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and I'm sorry, but Dak Prescott is not Patrick Mahomes, and Schottenheimer is not Andy Reid. So you would definitely be at a pretty big disadvantage if you drop down 0-2, especially when it seems like the Eagles and the Commanders at a minimum are obviously going to be quite competitive. They might not be as great as they were last year or win the Super Bowl, but they're obviously not a bad team where you're like, well, we know we got 3 easy wins coming up. Like, the Giants are your easy win. The Giants are supposed to be the 2-0 that you guarantee. And the objective at a minimum is to split with the Commanders and the Eagles, if not win even more than that. So we will see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Dallas Cowboys? Do you think it's a must-win for them? Do you think it's a double? Do you think it's a double must-win? Do you think it's a single dominant must-win, or a must-win and a half? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.